I'm in Nome to work as Public Affairs Director of KNOM. Public Affairs Director is part of the news team at KNOM. So part of my job is daily news duties, everything from doing interviews to producing news and features and voicing the weather and the news stories at regular update intervals. But other portions of the job of Public Affairs Director include things like profiles, longer news features, which everyone in the news department can do, but public affairs ends up doing a lot more than others. And another big part of my job is a program called Elder Voices, which KNOM has been doing for over a decade now. Um, Elder Voices is basically an interview with an elder from our region, and it could be an elder in Nome, it could be an elder hundreds of miles away in Point Hope, or on the other side of Norton Bay in Amonik. And it's an opportunity for them to kind of tell their story. It's kind of a biography. I conduct the interview, usually it's about an hour. I edit it down to about a half hour. I kind of shape a narrative from their recollections of growing up and their story of their life. And we put it to music and we air it once a month. And it's a pretty successful and pretty popular program. And I'm one of many who have worked on it, so I'm just the latest. The most surprising thing that's happened since I arrived in Nome personally is I became a member of the Nome Volunteer Ambulance Department. I went from having no experience and not even knowing how to do CPR to being CPR certified, to becoming an EMT1, which lets me provide basic life-saving interventions, to just a few months ago became an EMT2, which provides me the opportunity to do more advanced life-saving interventions. Being involved in the department has helped me see Nome through very different eyes. I've seen pretty much every slice of life you could expect to see in Nome, and I've been able to help people and get to know the hospital staff, other members of the department. I never thought I'd do anything like that, but it's something I've really enjoyed doing. That's personally. The most surprising thing professionally, I would have to say, would be the winter fuel delivery that we had in Nome last January. The U.S. Coast Guard cutter Healy and a Russian oil tanker Renda came to Nome through the ice from Dutch Harbor, and Nome had never seen anything like that before. It was pretty unique, and we were the eyes on the ground that reported that story, and our story went out to NPR and the BBC and ABC News and all that stuff. So it was pretty unique to be the person to report on that with my colleagues at KNOM News. I've never lived in a community as small as Nome. It's about 3,600 people, right? Is that right? It's about 3,600 people. I come from the suburbs of the East Coast, and it's never felt like a community in that way because you can drive and you're in another town or in another state or another county. The lines are invisible on the East Coast, and you tend to make your community from the people you see and interact with and work with and go to school with. In Nome, you're a member of the community just by virtue of you and everybody else here are going to be around each other for the next year or 10. So that was one of the biggest changes for me. But of course, there's other things like the lack of the cost of living, just the cost of gas, the cost of groceries, things like that. The ease with which you might do something in the lower 48 and the difficulty just because certain things just aren't available in Nome. I came up to Nome to work at KNOM from a teaching position I had in Delaware. I really wanted to learn the ins and outs of a news environment, and I did. I learned how to write stories, how to produce features, how to conduct interviews, but I also learned a whole lot about the state of Alaska, its history, the history of the native peoples, their subsistence lifestyles that have different subsistence animals all throughout the state, the traffic that goes through the Bering Strait, all these different elements that make up life in Nome, on the Seward Peninsula, in western Alaska, and in the state in general. It's a very fascinating layer upon layer of intricate things, and to be able to kind of just come here and learn all that from my job was incredibly fascinating and rewarding. And to learn the valuable skills of how to work in a news environment also were very rewarding. I can't think of another place where I could be given so many cool things to learn, but also be given the opportunity to learn them as I learn this new job. So those that crash course in Alaska and in the region and in a job all at one time in one place was pretty unique. I don't think I could find that in the lower 48.